We all can relate to some kind of sadness and regret. Sometimes that sadness sticks with us for the rest of our lives, and sometimes the sadness can stay even longer than that. The loss of a loved one, the opportunity we should have taken but didn't, some natural traumas like losses from severe storms or sicknesses, some unforeseen sadness that is out of our hands, the lament that trails us forever, the sadnesses that keep us up at night, that we think about, that we dream about, that change the course of our lives and possibly the lives of our families and generations. Where I live, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, no matter where you go, take a turn off a major street and you are in the middle of farmland. Lancaster, Pennsylvania summers are the most beautiful. Walking through the fields and wading in the streams that surround the pastures and farms can be a soul-soothing and refreshing recharge that someone carrying this deep sadness around sometimes needs. The warmth of the sun, the cool water slowly rushing, streams to wade in, rivers to float down in tubes, spots to fish, swim, and generally spend time relaxing and decompressing from the sadness of life. Even something as small as a little stream or creek can give the local kids something to do, to have fun in, to play, explore, and make believe. But for some children, especially in the Southwest and Mexico, spending time near a river can be a gamble. It could be that refreshing cool down they need, or it could be dangerous. And it's not because of the water. La Llorona, or the Crying Woman, is an urban legend based out of the Southwest, although the legend spans as far as southern Mexico, California, and Montana. The story goes, a woman from a small Mexican village married a wealthy and affluent man and bore him twin boys. Unfortunately, as the years went on, the man slowly grew tired of his wife and fell out of love with her. He one day went off on a trip and never returned, leaving the woman and her sons alone. A few years later, the woman sees her estranged husband with a new, younger wife. The woman, out of sadness, rage, depression, and confusion, took her children to the local river and one by one held their heads underwater till they were deceased, their bodies floating gently and slowly down the river. Moments after realizing what she had done, the woman jumps into the river, trailing behind her sons' bodies, hoping to die with them, crying and yelling over and over again, "Oh my children! Oh my children!" When the woman dies, she is stopped at the gates of heaven, being questioned about the whereabouts of her children. "Until you find your children, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven," she's told as she's turned away. Caught in the middle world between the living and the dead, she is said to be dressed all in white, floating above the rivers, looking for her children, crying and screaming, "Oh my children, oh my children." It's said that if the crying woman sees a child playing near a river, she will kidnap the child, ask them for her forgiveness, then drown them in the river to take the place of her own children. She is the bringer of bad news and the omen of terrible things to come. If you see her, you run in the opposite direction, as even gazing upon her could kill you by sheer terror and fright. She is one part terrifying banshee and one part sorrowful ghost. And while some people believe the legend of La Llorona is simply meant to scare children away from playing near the river's edge for fear of drowning, there are still people who believe that La Llorona still wanders the riverbeds and that the spirit even follows people as they move from one place to another. I read a story once about a child who was playing with his friends near a roaring river. Normally the river wasn't as wild and rushing, but due to a previous big storm, the river water was high, and the sound of the rushing water was almost deafening. The boys ran along the bank, picking up sticks and hitting each other with them, pretending to push each other into the river, general roughhousing. One of the boys, we'll call him Adam, grabbed another boy's hat and waved it around, pretending to throw it into the river where it would surely be lost. As the boy tried to reach for his hat, they heard a loud shriek coming from the other side of the bank. The scream was extremely high-pitched and ringing, almost inaudible at first. They couldn't tell if it was a train whistle, as there was nothing on the other side of the bank. The boys stood there cold, straining their eyes to see if there was something hiding on the other side of the river. Something in the bushes, an animal, a snake, or even someone playing a prank on them. Another shriek. This time, it started off with a little lower pitch and more booming, but finishing with another high-pitched shrill. The boys now knew there was a person, someone screaming, and not just a whistle off in the distance. They scrambled, looking for who it could be. Was someone drowning on the other side of the river? Did someone need their help? Another high-pitched wail, higher in pitch than before, a scream that left a ringing in the boys' ears. They covered their ears and squinted their eyes, trying to shield themselves from whatever it could be, then silence. The boys, scared and shaking, uncovered their ears and looked around at each other. "Let's leave," Adam yelled. But as he said that, a quiet, sad voice came from the other side of the river, a voice that they not only could hear out loud, but could also feel in the core of their beings, a voice that rattled their bones, that they could feel in their blood, a voice that wailed and cried,
"Oh my heart, oh sadness, my sons, my boys, my children."
From the center of the raging river, a white mist appeared. As the mist dissipated, the distant silhouette of a tall woman was revealed, hovering above the water, dressed all in white, long flowing black hair, pale face. As she manifested above the water, she shrieked that original high-pitched scream, screaming,
"Oh my children!"
The boys, terrified, took off through the field where they came from, screaming and crying. They all made it back to Adam's house, running through the front door, crying and screaming out of fear. I told my mother what happened. The boy, now a man, said many years later. She was a God-fearing Catholic woman, and I knew she wouldn't believe me or my friends, thinking we were joking around or exaggerating a story we had seen on TV. After sobbing and telling my mother our story, she wiped the tears from my face and held my head to her chest. I was hoping she would say something comforting like, "It was just your imagination," or, "Oh, that's happened to me before," or, "She's an angel, she's here to protect you and bring you good luck." But instead, she said calmly and sternly, "La Llorona, you boys were lucky. Don't play near the river again." That's all she said to us. She never brought it up again, and I never went near the river again. In fact, I spent the rest of that summer indoors, afraid to even go outside. And even now, getting near a body of water makes my body shake with fear. I can almost hear that scream all over again. It was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. I've always been skeptical. Even when I was a kid, I never believed in ghosts. Never read ghost stories. Always dressed up as something practical like a doctor or a race car driver for Halloween, because I just didn't believe in monsters or ghosts or anything supernatural. But that day will haunt me forever. I know what I saw floating above the river, and I know that if my friends and I had stayed there any longer, she would have killed us. I believe that 100%. I don't believe in much anymore, but I fully believe that the weeping woman is real, and my friends and I saw her, and that she mistook us for her sons. this a true story? An urban legend? A folklore passed down for generations? Perhaps a cautionary tale? Adam and his friends know what they saw that night. But how did his mother know exactly what it was and said it so matter of fact? Did she herself experience a visit from the crying woman? Has it become a family curse? Did the crying woman follow their family? Because now we are hearing of La Llorona appearing to people in Indiana, Maine, California, even as far as Canada. Sure, this could just be a cautionary tale to keep children from falling into rivers. Or maybe it's something more. Some would say the crying woman is a scary folktale, but for others, having a run-in with La Llorona could be the last thing you see. So just to be safe, if you happen to be wading in a stream, fishing near a river, either as far as South America, Canada, or even Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and you hear a shrill scream coming from the water, run. Because what started off as your watery safe haven to relieve your stress and sadness from life could turn to your death if the La Llorona tries to release her sadness by drowning you in the murky, muddy river waters.